2020, and it's time for the Planning Commission meeting. Would everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Newman, for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Secretary, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Buss?
Present.
Commissioner Cohan?
Here.
Commissioner Newman?
Present.
Commissioner McMahon?
Here.
Chair Lanson?
Here. All right, so go to item 4, which is written comments, announcements, supplemental materials. Mr. Kearns, do you have a announcement?
Yes, thank you, Chair Lanson. We do have a continuance of item 7B, the request for the drive-through Starbucks on Moore Park Road. This item will be continued to a date certain of January 11th, 2021. This item was continued because the legal notification signs on site were not properly updated with the date and time of this meeting. So we had to continue it to this next scheduled meeting. Also related to that matter is a supplemental packet which was distributed to the Planning Commission this afternoon. This supplemental packet contains correspondence related to the Starbucks application. This material will be presented to the Planning Commission as part of the packet at the January 11th meeting. And this is all I have for now.
Thank you. And again, if anybody has additional comments and wants to participate in the hearing on January 11, please obviously know they can do that. The supplemental packet was not all the information. Again, if you still want to submit information, you can. For that, I know we have one public speaker, Mr. Cox. If you were going to speak on that item, you can drop off at this point because, again, it's been moved to January 11th. If it's a general public comment you have as to something else, we'll get to you as part of our agenda. I did want to have a few announcements myself. I initially wanted to congratulate our former Mayor Al Adam for re-election and getting what I believe was the most votes by a city council person, and to congratulate our newest city council person, Kevin McNamee. I look forward to both of their leadership over the next 4 years, especially as to the general plan update and amendment we're going to be doing. I want to congratulate our new mayor, Claudia Bill de la Pena, who I believe is doing it for the 4th time for the city, and thank her for her comments about personal responsibility, which is even more important today considering the news coming from Los Robles Hospital and our lack of ICU beds and other things. So again, thank you for that. And to also congratulate our new Mayor Pro Tem, Bob Engler, and to thank Mr. Engler and also our council member, Ed Jones, for I thought was a very congenial and amazing display of coming together by both nominating each other for Mayor Pro Tem. So thank you for that moment for both of you. Lastly, thank yous and congratulations to Mark Town, our Community Development Director, who is going to be retiring, I believe, at the end of this year. And I was going to then congratulate our very own Kelvin Parker, who's not here, who's going to be taking that position. I've worked with Kelvin a few years and so happy that he's going to be taking over that reins, and really looking forward to having him protect our city and helping us as much as he can. For everybody out there, although the seats may be changing a little bit, including the very one I'm sitting in, the city has and will continue to be run by fantastic, dedicated, very knowledgeable people, and to always try to make sure our city is as good as it can be. And with that, let's go on to item 6, the consent calendar. Commissioners, any comments about this consent calendar? Oh, I'm sorry. We should go back. 1 second, Commissioners. Let's go back. Let's do the public comment. Mr. Cox, did you have are you still there? And did you have a comment about the Starbucks project or just a general public comment?
I don't believe he's there.
Okay. So we'll assume there's no public comment for that point and move on to, again, item 6, consent calendar. Commissioners, any questions, comments, statements with regard to the minutes?
I do have one note, if you don't mind. On page 2, the vote, Commissioner Newman is marked recused, but we need to remove his name from the votes in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gore. Aside from that change, Commissioners, were there any other comments? Or if not, do I have a motion?
I will move that we accept the minutes as corrected.
Thank you, Commissioner McMahon. Any other commissioner wish to speak?
I will second it, but yes, we're good.
Okay, Ms. Gore, prepare us for a vote, please.
Commissioner Buss,
Aye.
Commissioner Cohan,
Yes.
Commissioner McMahon,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman,
Oh, he was not there. He abstained, right?
I think he would still vote on the minutes. He was just recused on the one
Oh,
item.
okay, recused on that one thing. All right, Commissioner Newman.
He doesn't seem to be.
Oh, there he is.
Sorry, network problem here. Corrected now.
Okay, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7A. Ms. Gore, could you please open the public hearing?
7A, a hearing having been advertised as required by law is hereby open to consider agenda item 7A, precise plan of design PPD 2017-70335, PPD 2017-0336, PPD 2017-0337, PPD 2017-70338, PPD 2017-70339, Underground Utility Waiver UUW 2017-70340, and Lot Line Adjustment LLA 2017-70595 to allow construction of 5 two-story single-family dwellings on 5 individual lots of record, adjustment of 4 property lines, and waive the requirement to underground adjacent utilities. Location is assessor's parcel numbers 676-0-0-80-060, 676-0-0-80-030, 676-0-0-80-010, and 676-0-0-80-020, northwest of Skyline Drive and approximately 540 feet southwest of Willow Lane, and the applicant is Danis and Gail Iglitis.
Thank you. We have Associate Planner Will Chua to present the staff report.
Thank you, Chair Lanson, members of the Commission. As mentioned earlier, the case before you tonight is a request to allow the construction of 5 single-family homes, a lot line adjustment, and waive the requirement to underground existing utilities. The project site is located on the south side of the 101 freeway. This is the aerial photo of the proposed site. To the north of the property is a self-storage building. To the northeast is a property with 3 single-family homes. And if you can remember, this is the site of a recently approved self-storage facility on Willow Lane. To the south or to the northeast, further northeast is the nursery, a single-family home. And to the south side would be single-family homes, and the rest of them are vacant properties zoned RE13. The request involves encroachment within natural sloping terrain of 25% or greater. And this is the reason why it's being brought before the Planning Commission today. Planning Commission, of course, is required for grading activity within those sloping terrain. As a project summary, the applicant is requesting to construct a 1-story home on each of the 5 legally created lots. There will be a single driveway going through Lot 3 to the rest of the residences. There will be grading encroachment within 25% or greater slope. The lot line adjustment will involve 4 of the 5 lots. That's lots 62, 63, 64, and 65. The purpose of the line adjustment is to redraw the lines to minimize disturbance within the natural slopes of lots 64 and 65, which you will see in later slides. All the utilities going, all the new utilities providing services to the single-family homes will be placed underground, and there are no protected trees that will be impacted by this project. The lot line adjustment, this is the existing lot line sizes for each of the lots and the proposed lots. Lot 3, which is the one by Skyline, adjacent to Skyline, will not change. Lots 62, 63, and 64 are all legal conforming lots with 13,000 minimum square foot. The proposed parcels A, B, C, and D have a minimum lot size ranging from 13,172 square feet to 43,677 square feet. And I would like to make a minor corrections in my staff report on page 2 on this table. Parcel A was reflected as 15,172, although in the next table showing the amount of grading in the 25% slope, it is represented properly at 13,172 square feet. This is the existing lot configuration to the left of the screen. The hash marks represents the 25% or greater natural slope. The flatter areas, as you can see, are within lots 64 and 63. On the right side of the screen is the proposed lot line for the project. The intent of this lot line adjustment, well, let me back up a little bit. As you can see, 64 and 65 are predominantly steep slopes, natural terrain 25% or greater. After the proposed lot line adjustment, if it's approved, then there will be enough development pads that are flat enough for to minimize encroachment within 25% or greater slope. Grading will be necessary for driveways, development pads, and guest parking, and the fire department required turnaround. There will be a cut of 2,100 square feet and fill of 1992, and a net export of 108 cubic yards. There will be an approximate 8 truck trips with a 14 capacity dump truck. If the there's a for questions on regarding the staging for dump trucks, staff is anticipating that Willow Lane, or I'm sorry, Conejo Ridge may be used as a staging area for the truck because it's a very, very seldomly traveled street. So, in terms of grading, let me back up a little bit, sorry. This table depicts the overall lot area, the amount of 25% or greater slope, and the amount of encroachment within those slope. Lot A has an overall lot size of 15,182 square feet, with 40% of it being 25% or greater. Lot A at 13,000 square feet, 56% of it, and so on and so forth. Lot B has 76% natural slope, C 72, and D at 33%. So the encroachment here is for lot 1, lot 3 is 495 square feet, which is 8.1% of the 25% slope, and 12% for lots A, 2% for lot B, and very minimal for lot C. Lot D is 1%. So adding the totals of the total of the 25% or greater slope, it comes up to 69,000 square feet, which is 61% of the project area. Out of that, the total disturbed area would be 1,800 square feet, around 1,900 square feet, and that represents 2.7% of the 25% or greater slope. You've seen this map before. This is the proposed lot line, and the next slide will show you the locations of the houses within this with this map. So this shows you how much encroachment is being used up here. So small portions of each of the resulting lot. This is an elevation for lot 3, which is the one next to Skyline. All of the houses has contemporary style of architecture featuring simple lines and features. The exteriors will be treated with stucco finish with earth tone colors and stone veneer. All the residences feature split level floors to blend with the natural contour of the property. So as you can see, it's sloping down. So there's a level here, floor level here, here, and here. Same goes with the residence on lot A. It's got a split level as well. This would be residence B. Residence C, and Residence D. This is a depiction of the conceptual landscape plans. This is not a final design. This is just conceptual. The final design will be reviewed and approved by at the staff level by our landscape consultant. As you can see, it features lots of trees. Some of them are oak trees that will be planted to reduce the visibility from the freeway. So, as far as setback height and parking standards, it's been outlined in the staff report, and this complies with the setback height and parking standards of the municipal code. The contemporary architecture style has earth tone colored stucco, concrete tiles, and roof materials as called for in our precise plan of design guidelines. This is not located within a tract with established architectural features, so compatibility with surrounding properties is not that of a huge concern. So the other policy is our freeway corridor guidelines. Our freeway corridor guidelines requires minimal grading, step floors, and angled roof, angled structures, sloping roof along the slope, and landscaping. These are all features of this project. The project has fully complied with our 1000 municipal codes and both the precise plan of design guidelines and the freeway corridor policy. The applicant is also requesting an underground utility waiver. The municipal code provides certain criteria to waive underground requirement. And these are geological, soil condition, topographical conditions, existing of overhead lines, and cost of undergrounding. Staff is supporting this due to the existence of existing utility lines near the project. There will be a 100-foot brush clearance modification zone as required by the fire department. This brush clearance easement will be offered to the surrounding property owners so that the responsibility of brush clearance will fall upon the applicant, not on the adjacent property owners. And these are conditions that's required the applicant to provide before a building permit is issued. All residences will be on city sewer. 4 of the residents of the 5, so 4 which is up on the hill, will be on its own water wells because the finished floor for each exceeds 966 feet in elevation, and our city water service would not have enough pressure to provide at that height. Although the fire sprinklers would be connected to city water service. This project qualifies as a Class 32 infill development because it's less than 5 acres, it's not a habitat for endangered species, it's within an urban area, and so on and so forth. And none of the conditions listed under CEQA, Section 15300.2, are applicable to this project. In conclusion, granting of the request will provide the property owner with reasonable and conforming use of the property. The project, as mentioned earlier, meets or exceeds applicable standards in the municipal code and our policies. The lot line adjustment, most importantly, will significantly reduce grading into the 25% and preserve natural hillsides, which is way in compliance with the city's general plan policy of preserving natural open space. And it complies with the city's precise plan of design guidelines and the scenic highway corridor. And with that, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving the request for the 5 single-family homes, PPD 20-70335 through 70339. The underground utility waiver 17-70340, and let me go back. I forgot the other number. It's and underground utility waiver. Lot line adjustment 2019-70595. Sorry about the fumble. And with that, staff is available for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chua. It was not so easy with Ms. Gore tried it as well, so I appreciate both of you trying to get all the numbers and the dashes correct. Commissioners, questions for staff?
Commissioner Newman.
Go ahead, Commissioner Newman.
Thank you, Chair Lanson. And thank you, Mr. Chua, for your presentation. And thank you also for adding the condition 7. There's language there about requiring on-site parking for construction vehicles. I'm very pleased to see that is a standard condition now. So thank you for that. My first question is about the retaining walls. Is just so I understand, is the requirement in the municipal code for retaining walls to have a maximum height of 6 feet? Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Normally, retaining walls are limited to 6 feet. If it exceeds 6 feet, we normally would step them up to break them up. So yes, we do try to minimize the heights of the retaining walls.
So on the west side of this application, there are 2 retaining walls. One is 6 feet and another is 4 feet. And my question is the aggregate height between the 2 walls, is that a maximum of 6 feet, or is it stepped so that it's an aggregate of 10 feet or more?
The maximum would be 10 feet.
Okay,
Total
so
height would be 10 feet.
This is really a way of getting around the 6-foot requirement by using 2 walls to provide an aggregate retaining height of 10 feet. Is that correct?
Yes, and if you can remember, we the same approach was done with the Willow Lane storage, where there's almost a 12-foot high wall, where the wall along Willow Lane was split into two, and with a intervening landscape planter in between.
Okay. I don't necessarily object. I just wanted to understand what the configuration was. Moving on, in your report, you talked about the freeway corridor and landscaping would shield visibility of this application from the freeway, quote, over time. And my question is, how much time are we talking about?
For this type of trees, I would say probably about between 5 to 10 years for the trees to mature.
Okay, 5 to 10 years?
Depending on the
So we're
amount of water we get.
Sure, of course. Regarding brush clearance, this is a sensitive area to wildfires. It's a steep area. So really two questions about brush clearance. One, do I presume correctly that the fire department is satisfied with the brush clearance guidance as given here? And two, is there anything that would merit clearance of greater than 100 feet anywhere on or adjacent to this application area?
I'm not aware of anything that would warrant 100-foot fire clearance from the fire department. I've discussed this issue with the fire department representative, and they are satisfied with 100-foot brush clearance.
Okay. Moving on to water. I believe you'd mentioned that at least some of the properties that would be created here would have individual wells. And my question on that is whether one property digging a well would affect access to water for an adjacent property or for any neighboring property. I know this has been a pretty contentious issue out in the San Joaquin Valley.
Maybe senior engineer from Public Works will answer the question. I forgot his name.
Good evening, Commissioners. Yeah, I believe your question is if the fact that if we're drilling 4 wells that close together, will that affect other wells within the area? Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, it definitely can. It just depends on what the groundwater table is like in this area, and that's why the City of Thousand Oaks, we don't permit the wells. That goes through the county, so the county will be responsible for permitting these wells. And as part of that, they will have to have a study, and they'll have to have a geologist recommend these wells. So that will have to go through the county to permit that.
Okay, so you're saying, just so I understand, you're saying this is the permitting and approval of the wells will be a Ventura County matter.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Okay, out of our bailiwick then. It's a concern, but it's Ventura County's concern, I guess. And then the final set of questions I have is regarding the undergrounding of utility lines. Back in September 2014, the commission heard a case where we added a condition that required the new property owners to be part of an assessment district. This was along Hillcrest Drive at the corner of Houston. And with the idea that while there wouldn't be an immediate requirement to underground lines, the assessment district would amass the funds and then underground them. So that was 6 years ago, and the lines are still above ground there. And here we're in an even more sensitive place to fire, and we know that lines above ground can be a fire danger. So the question is, are there other cases? I mean, with the exception of the undergrounding of lines along Teal Boulevard, which I think was a municipal project, have there been any other cases where residential lines have been undergrounded in recent memory?
Can't recall anything in particular. I mean, for all the cases that I brought before the Planning Commission, most of the underground utility waivers have been approved by the commission. I don't know if Mr. Bussell here would have knowledge of any capital improvement to underground lines.
The most recent undergrounding we did with a residential housing project was the one on Hillcrest and Lone Oak. That is just completing right now, that undergrounding project. There's been some multifamily projects where we've done undergrounding. Typically for the single-family homes, we have not been requiring undergrounding for those projects.
Is there any sense of a timeline there's language here about creating an underground assessment district. Is there any sort of process or timeline for how long it would take once a district is created to amass the funds that would be necessary to underground the lines?
Maybe I can answer some of that. In the past, we had this requirements since late 80s, actually, on properties, and they have been around. However, unfortunately, none of them panned out. We did not see many success with this condition and creating districts.
Excuse me,
that,
sir, one second here. I don't know who, are you on behalf of the applicant?
No.
Oh, okay.
From the city side.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. My name is Mohammed Fatimi. I'm division manager for the engineering public works. And but the districts normally they did not work out because of the issue you're going to have with many property owners. They're trying to gather them around, and it never worked out. The process we have nowadays is that when they apply for underground utility waiver, we come up with some linear footage that would cost the city to underground overhead utility lines. And we collect that fund and we use that citywide, not necessarily in the same location, based on the priorities that council approves and the areas and what we can do for the most undergrounding we can do for the dollar. And we use those funds in that direction. The examples of those funds being used is that we partnered with private developers on Hillcrest, and right now is being down. Conejo School Road is another example that we just completed. Newberry Road is another example that we use those funds to partner with the developers to process that because of the Rule 20B discounts we can get from Southern California Edison for any areas over 600 feet. So that would get us the maximum amount of undergrounding we can get for our dollar money. So that's the process we've been using, and it has been very successful. We had many places that we waived their undergrounding requirements based on the hardship or based on the priority on our list, and then we collected the funds to do that. Usually this is about around $400 per foot of equivalent lines of overhead. I hope that answers that question.
It very much so. Thank you, Mr. Fatemi. I did not realize how much undergrounding activity there is ongoing around the city. So I really appreciate your explanation.
Of course.
Thanks for that. And with that, Mr. Chair, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Newman. Other commissioner questions of staff, who I now know are more than just Mr. Chua, and I apologize for not recognizing that you were also speaking for the city. Other commissioner questions?
Nelson Buss.
Go ahead.
On the same vein of this undergrounding, I read initially in the, I think it's in the summary, it says all new utilities serving the homes will be placed underground. And then the next sentence says the applicant is requesting a waiver of the requirement to underground existing overhead utilities along the frontage of Lot 3 on Skyline Drive. So are we waiving just where the utilities are coming in, or what exactly are we waiving here?
Thank you for your question, Commissioner Buss. We are waiving the requirement to underground the existing utilities running along Skyline Drive. However, all new utilities will be placed underground.
Copy that. Okay, that makes more sense to me. So I just wasn't following that. The other question I had is, so the two lots as currently set up at 64 and 65, on the attachment number 2, the location map, it shows the Canal Ridge Ave splitting into 2. When I was out at the site, I don't see an existing road there, a dirt road, anything. Was that a road that was intended to be built and never was? Or can you give me some clarification on that, why that map shows a road that I wasn't able to find?
The road on the map actually is just a trail. That is a private road that's owned by one of the property owners. It's part of the track when it was approved back in the 1930s. So that is.
There's a drainage channel there. Is that where the equivalent of that trail would be?
It's next to it.
Okay. All right. The other question I have is, we did approve a storage facility that's directly, I guess, to the north of this site. And I was wondering how their grading, as well as the grading that we're going to be approving on this project, will impact drainage. Full disclosure, when I was out of the site, I spoke to one of the neighbors who's got an existing home there, John Condon. And I asked him if what he knew about the project, and he said that he had not been reached out to by anybody regarding it. I didn't do a measurement. I'm not sure if he's 500 feet away or not, but just full disclosure, I did speak to that gentleman. But my question is how is this going to impact the drainage in that area, and how do we know?
Public Works would be reviewing the grading, and they're making sure that the runoff from the properties would not be affecting the neighboring or the adjacent neighbors.
All right. Thank you very much. That's all for now.
Thank you, Commissioner Buss. Any other questions from commissioners before I throw a few in?
No.
Mr. Chu, did you receive any objections, opposition, comments, anything in regard to this from anybody that received notice in the area?
No written objection. I received a phone message indicating that the city should not be approving encroachment into the 25% or greater slope. When I reach out to the individual, I encourage him to send us an email or a letter of opposition, but I have not received one.
That was not Mr. Condon, I'm assuming.
I don't think so.
Aside from that, no other comments that you've received?
I received a call from an adjacent property owners who's just wondering what's going on and is welcoming of the development.
You had mentioned the storage facility. Just as a general question, is there a way to make sure that the dirt hauling is not going to be concurrent with those two projects at the same time? Is there some way of scheduling those things to make sure that it's not done at the same time so we don't have duplicity of dirt hauling at the same time?
You know, that's going to be tough, but with the amount of the dirt haul on this one, it's only 8 truck trips. So I don't know if that's really going to affect that much.
Again, just trying to see if there's ways to minimize the effect on neighbors to the extent that there would be that kind of issue. The road, I know the applicant, which we'll get to in a second, owns all of the properties at this point, so an easement with regard to the road isn't necessarily applicable at the moment because you can't have an easement against yourself. But at some point, if they do sell, is there any thought with regard to, because the road goes up lot 3, but then is on the other lots, is there any idea of some point of having something on a deed restriction or some easement for maintenance of the road or something?
As part of the lot line adjustment map, if you look at the map, there will be an easement for driveway access, fire department requirement on the recorded map. So yes, there will be.
Okay. because those are one of those things that can come back later on. I think that's all the questions I had. Any other commissioner questions at the moment for the staff?
This is Commissioner Cohan. I have a few questions.
Go ahead, Commissioner Cohan.
Thank you. First question, is this parcel within a protected ridge overlay?
No, it's not. It's the protected ridge is 300 feet away from the nearest ridge line, and this is probably about 50 to 100 feet away from it.
Great, thank you. In regards to the trail that you mentioned, the old dump road trail, I know that's a trail being used by mountain bikers currently. Is the trail going to be interfered with the development that is currently proposed?
No, not at this time.
Okay. And then finally, in regards to security and access, is this community gated?
No, it's not.
Great. And is there any proposed HOA or 16Rs for this property?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
And may I just make a quick correction here? The old dump road is not a designated trail. It is a private access road that's supposed to provide an access to all those lots at the top of the hill there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last call for commissioner questions of staff before we go to the applicant. Hearing nothing further, we will go to the applicant, who will have 15 minutes. And I think it's Mr. and Mrs. Iglesias, if I can pronounce that correctly.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, go ahead.
Thanks for having me tonight, and thank you for your time, commissioners. I am Dana Siglitis, the applicant, and I'm going to give my wife over to the next 15 minutes. That was a joke. I will be open to questions. I think Will covered everything pretty well. Are there any questions for me?
We'll get to those. I just wanted to see if there's anything further you or your wife had in terms of just a comment about the project before we get to commissioner questions.
I don't think so. I think Will did a very good job.
Okay. With that, we will go ahead and open up to commissioner questions. Commissioners, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Sharon McMahon.
Go ahead, Commissioner
Hi.
McMahon.
I just have a quick question. Are these all lots, houses to be sold, or are you planning on living in one of them?
That's kind of up to debate. I'd like to live in one. So that would be one of the considerations. The other would be selling them. But the thought that we kicked around would be my son in one with his family, a daughter in another, and us would be in the third, and we'd sell two.
Okay, thank you. That's all for now.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner questions?
Commissioner Newman?
Go ahead, Commissioner Newman.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Iglesias, for working with city staff on this. I just have one question, which is, do you have an estimate of approximately how long you think the entire project's construction would take from start to finish?
I haven't put it on paper, but I would estimate possibly 2 years.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Boss?
Go ahead, Commissioner Buss.
I just have one question, Mr. Iglesias. I mentioned earlier I ran into one of the neighbors, and he mentioned that he hadn't spoken to anybody regarding the project. Did you do any outreach with any of the neighbors?
No, sir. Other than in the past, I've run across them at the planning commission meetings. If I ran across a neighbor, we discussed things, but I'm not sure which neighbors we talked to. But I was there, I think, for two of the different commission hearings. One was for the neighbor next to us, a residential lot, and then I was at one for the storage complex. So at those commission meetings, I did speak to some of the neighbors.
Oh, perfect. I have a follow-up question then regarding the storage facility. Obviously, you're comfortable with everything that we did there, and has that impacted your plans whatsoever on this, on how you're going to use these lots?
No, sir. No impact at all.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments for the applicant? Not hearing, I'll just ask one that I usually ask of most applicants. You've read the package and you're in agreement with all the terms and conditions as indicated in the materials?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think, again, unless there's any other questions, we will move on at this point to follow up with staff if there's any further follow-up.
No follow-up from staff. Thank you.
All right, so at this point, I will go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up the matter for discussion between the commissioners or a motion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Boss checking in. There's no public comments?
There are no public comments.
All right, copy that. Sounds like silence is consent then. It looks like all the ducks in a row, all the questions that I had were answered. So I'm terrified to do it, but I would like to go ahead and let me see if I can get all these numbers straight to move to pass this.
You're a good man, Commissioner Buss. You're a good man.
Yes. So based on staff evaluation, I want to move that we agree to approve PPD 2017-70335, PPD 2017-70336, PPD 2017-70337, PPD 2017-70338, PPD 2017-70339, UUW 2017-70340, LLA 2017-70595.
Nicely done. Other commissioner comments?
This is Commissioner Cohan.
Go ahead, Commissioner Cohan.
Yes, I second Commissioner Buss's comments. I appreciate applicant, Mr. Iglesias, for his project and reducing impacts to the hillside. I thought this is a well-designed project, and we look forward to this development in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohan. Other comments?
Mr. McMahon?
Go ahead, Commissioner McMahon.
I just wanted to echo that. It looked like the applicant and the staff has done a good job in minimizing the effect on the slopes and creating a project that will work really well.
Thank you.
Commissioner Newman, do you want to say anything?
I do. I echo the comments that have been made so far. I'm glad that the grading is minimal. I strongly would prefer to see the lines being undergrounded. I understand why they're not. And I learned something tonight from Mr. Fatemi about that the city is moving ahead in several places with undergrounding of lines. I hope that will happen here. I don't consider that a showstopper, but I would like to see that happen here and in as many places as possible in the future. But with regard to this project, it seems very well done and completely in compliance with city code, except for the waivers we're granting tonight. So I will support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Newman. I will add my final 2 cents in that it was great to see that the staff and the applicant worked so close together to get all of the issues done, making it very easy for us to kind of go through. I mean, there's some issues that obviously are a concern, but I'm very appreciative of the job that staff and the applicant did in terms of making sure all the things were crossed off and things were checked off. So I will support it as well. So with that, Ms. Gore, go ahead and prepare us for a vote.
Commissioner Buss?
Aye.
Commissioner Cohan?
Yes.
Commissioner McMahon?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Chair Lanson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
And that is approved. Any aggrieved party who wishes to appeal the Planning Commission's decision may do so by filing an appeal with the Community Development Department within 10 days. Again, we're not going to do item 7B. That's moved to January. We therefore go to department reports. Do we have any department reports?
There are none tonight, Chair.
Item 9, Commissioner comments and 1234 reports. Any commissioner wish to say something?
I'll speak up. Commissioner Newman here.
Go ahead, Mr. Commissioner Newman.
I want to commend staff for its already having an impossible job and then making it even more difficult with the global pandemic. I want to commend everyone on city staff for all the work that you've done to ensure that the business of the city continues. We're entering perhaps the darkest phase of this pandemic right now. And I'll leave it to Commissioner Lanson to speak, as he often eloquently does, about the need for us all to take care. But I didn't want to see the year out without commending the staff for all the good work it's been doing, despite everything that's going on. So thank you for that.
I think we all share your comments, Commissioner Newman. Great point. Any other commissioner comments? I will then just briefly say what Commissioner Newman was going to say is, at this point, follow the mask and all the rules for yourself. Follow it for everybody else, but follow it for my son, who is a doctor and who now is going to get the vaccine tomorrow, which is great, except for the fact he works in a pediatric COVID ward, and their hospital is overwhelmed. Los Robles is overwhelmed. They have no further beds for ICUs. I don't think they're even taking new patients now, unless it's cardiac arrest. So again, politics aside, religion aside, everything aside, follow the rules, stay home if you can, do everything you can so we can get through this point, take the vaccine, and hopefully get back to our lives. That's my comment. Staff update, item 10.
Thank you, Chair Lanson. We do not have any follow-up items, announcements, or upcoming issues. We do have 2 meetings scheduled for January 11th and January 25th. Each of those meeting dates have an item scheduled currently. As mentioned earlier, the Starbucks has moved to the January 11th meeting. We have a municipal code amendment scheduled for January 25th that it involves evaluation of objective standards as prescribed by state legislation. So that'll be coming forward to the Planning Commission for recommendation to our City Council. And that is all I have.
So with that, we'll adjourn this meeting and see you on January 11th. Good night, Thousand Oaks.
It might be good to have
Night.
a vote.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Happy holidays.
Still here.
All right. I went too quickly. I just saw staff update and then skipped over it. So we do have item 10C, which is a Planning Commission schedule for 2021 that we must, I guess, evaluate and approve.
No.
So any questions with regard to, or comments as to the schedule?
I move that we approve the schedule as given to us here.
With that, go ahead and prepare us for a vote.
Commissioner Buss?
Aye.
Commissioner Cohan?
Yes.
Commissioner McMahon?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Aye.
Chair Lanson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
I tried not to have it, but we went through it anyway. So with that, is there any other reason I can't adjourn the meeting? I'm looking around. All right. With that, we're adjourned until January 11th. Good night, Thousand Oaks.
Good night.